Okay, good day everybody. We have this new YouTube channel and I'm so excited to be on, so excited to share some of these messages with you. But before I go on, please subscribe to this channel. This is so important. Send this message to people so that we can help them. Ring the bell so that you can get the notifications, and please like and please leave some comments. Please leave some comments on things that stands out for you. Also, please leave some comments on things that you are confused about, things that you want me to teach on in the future. I would love to do that. And also, I do individual training as well. So you can contact me on my email address if you want to do any individual training with me. We can do it if you live in my city. We can do it in person if you want to, but most of you don't live in my city. So if you want to do it over Zoom, we can do some training sessions. So please mail me for the info. And also I do emotional intelligence in the workplace. I have a 4-lesson plan for emotional intelligence in the workplace. If you want to know more about our emotional intelligence in the workplace course, you can also email me. That can also be done on Zoom platforms with a few people. So you are welcome to contact me if you want to know more on my email. Today we're going to speak about emotional healing, how to get healing emotionally. And I think this is actually something that every single person needs. Every one of us deals with emotions. Every single one of us deals with hurts, insecurities. And I think the reason I can be on this channel to speak is because I've been dealing with it for most of my life, like all of us. And I've done a lot of research, and I have so much passion to teach and to speak on these matters. So in order to understand emotional healing, we have to understand emotional intelligence. And I've been studying so much on emotional intelligence. And to say something briefly is you have a neocortex, or what they call the logical or the thinking mind. And then you have the limbic system, which they call the emotional mind. So you have a mind that's emotional, that's into feelings. And then you have a mind that's logical, that's into reasoning, and that thinks and that reasons and that perceives. And what we want to do is we want to find a balance between the two, and we're not going to always in every situation be like a 50-50 on the logical and the emotional, because believe me, so many situations in our life causes the emotions to rage to a place where you don't think rational at that moment, where you don't think logical at that moment. And some situations causes us to think more logical than what it goes to feeling. But in general, we want to get a balance between the two, meaning we don't want to act on emotions when it's too high, nor do we want to hide our emotions. You know, it's important to feel, it's important to have emotions, but as soon as your emotions overrides your logical or your perception too much, you can get into trouble. And I know that many people who are watching this right now can say, yeah, I know that. I've made some bad decisions at an emotional state. And you make bad emotional decisions, or you make bad decisions when you're in an emotional state, whether the emotion is very good or very bad. You don't just make bad decisions when the emotion is bad. You also make bad decisions sometimes when the emotion is too good. Sometimes you're on too much of a high, you are too happy, and in that state you just purchase something that you cannot afford. You speak to somebody that you shouldn't speak to, or you do something that you shouldn't do. And this is why it's very important to bring in logic, to bring in reasoning, but it's also important not to deny your emotions. But in order for us to do this, we have to get to a healthy place. And by healthy place, I don't mean we're always going to have everything sorted out and we're always going to be stable in our emotions. I think that's really just too far-fetched to say that. What I am saying is feel your emotions, deal with your emotions, and manage them every single day of your life, because believe me, every single day of your life, something will happen that will challenge your emotions. So many things happen in our life that causes us to feel insecure, that causes us not to feel good about ourselves. And it's so important to deal with those things. And those things make us toxic. How do you know something is toxic? Something is toxic when it is kind of like nice in the moment and you need it for that moment, but in the long run it's bad for you. That is when something is toxic. Something that feels good right now, but something that's not going to be good in the long run. And therefore we have to make decisions that's good for the long run. We shouldn't just make decisions that we feel is good for now. We should make decisions and make sure it's good for the long run. That's why it's so important to have counselors. That's why it's so important to speak to people who can help us to make good decisions. Now, on that, don't go speak to people who is going to help you to make bad decisions. Go speak to people that kind of of know what they're talking about, that's been through stuff, that knows how to manage their emotions and are wise. I have many people in my life that I can speak to, and I would advise you to do the same, but please don't go speak to the wrong people. And I have 4 things today that I want to share with you that's important to get emotional healing. And the first thing that I want to give to you for emotional healing is detox. Detox is to get rid of some things. I firmly believe if we want to build some new things in our life, we also in the process have to get rid of some old things. Everything that has been toxic or everything that's polluted our minds comes from somewhere. Every single thing that causes you today to be insecure, to have negative thinking, to doubt yourself, to have bad emotions, it normally comes from somewhere. There's normally something that happened in your past that had an influence. Maybe you have a bad self-image because people spoke badly about you. Maybe you have an anger problem because things happened in your life. Today you are using some toxic stuff to deal with those emotions, and we have to detox from that. When you're addicted to something toxic, so many people want to get rid of the addiction and they just try harder and they just try to discipline themselves more, and it doesn't work because you're never going to get rid of the addiction if you don't deal with the root cause. You have to detox the root cause. You have to go look at what the root cause of something is. Why do I feel anxious? Why am I angry? Why do I feel insecure? Where does this come from? And then I have to create a new mindset. We have to detox from the wrong belief system, because the wrong belief system gets us to a place where we don't love ourselves, where we're not okay with ourselves. And when we're not okay with ourselves, that causes very bad behavior. It either causes you to maybe get to a place where you become codependent, where you always need everybody to approve of you, and that's why you overcompensate. You will do more than what you can because you're so afraid that people will reject you. Or you get to a place where you treat people bad, you're just angry against everybody, and you push people away because there are so many things you didn't deal with that causes you to have a bad self-image or bad thoughts about yourself. And those are some things that we have to detox from before we can build this new mental image about ourselves. Albert Einstein said, "No problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it." So the level of consciousness, the thought that created the problem, is not the thought that's going to heal the problem. You have to get to a new place of thinking. You have to get to a new place of believing. It starts with the detox and it carries on, and this brings me to number 2, put in the new. After you have detoxed of the old, after you have dealt with some old things, you have to put some new things in your mind. You have to start to think and believe differently. Your mind and belief system is influenced by the information you put in. And you can put in information through the books you read. You can put in information with the people that you spend time with. And it starts with information. You have to put some new information in your mind so that you can get a new belief system. This is one way to heal from the toxic. If you're still busy with toxic information, so many people are just sitting the whole day watching the negative things of the world. What are all the bad things happening? And I'm not saying we should deny reality, but I am saying if we put bad information in our belief system the whole time, it's going to mess up our emotion. Or the people you spend time with. If you spend time with toxic people the whole time, if you spend time with people who put you down the whole time, you have to say, listen, but after I've detoxed from some stuff, I now have to get some new information. I have to get a new belief system. I have to get a new crowd. And I heard this one lady, Cynthia Garrett, she once made the statement. She said, if you want to change your life, you have to change playgrounds and playmates. And for us to change, to get to an emotionally healthy place, we have to get to that place where we change playgrounds and where we change playmates. Kim Pellman, about learning and memory in September 2015, spoke about the hippocampus, and she says, science has proven that a positive, loving, uplifting environment activates the genes in the hippocampus, and the hippocampus has to do with learning and memory. That causes peace and joy, and bad environments has an opposite effect, such as stress and discomfort. The hippocampus is a part in the limbic system, your emotional brain, that has to do with learning and memory. It actually takes short-term memory into long-term memory. That's why you can remember past hurts. The hippocampus is also the reason why you see a bear in your background and you get afraid, and it's a good thing because the hippocampus warns you against bad things. But if you put in bad memories into this thing, then it's gonna always remind you of those bad past behaviors. So for change to happen in the hippocampus, the part that has to do with learning and memory, you have to change your environment. You have to change the information you put in. You sometimes have to change the people you spend time with. It doesn't mean you don't love them. It doesn't mean, you don't hope the best for them. It's just a place where you're like, but you don't put good information into me. And this brings me to the third point, meditate. So first, detox, get rid of the old old things. Number 2, put in some new things. And after you have put in some new things, you have to meditate on these things. You have to think about these things. You have to ponder on these things. It doesn't help you just put new information in, but you don't sit, reflect, meditate on it. So meditation, according to Dr. Joe Dispenza, is to become familiar with. Meditation is to become familiar with something. After you have put in the new information, you have to become familiar with it. And one thing that I love to do is write it down. Write some things down. The more you write, the more it becomes a habit in your brain, I believe. They say it takes about over 60 days to start to form a new habit. I've been to Canada once. I grew up in South Africa and I still live in South Africa. And in South Africa, we eat a lot of meat. When I went to Canada, I realized it was not so. Those people don't eat a lot of meat. You know, they will go for meals without having any meat. That would be weird in South Africa. And I've been to Canada for about a month and I've realized when I came back, I didn't crave meat. I had to get used to eating meat again. When I got hungry, when I felt like having food, my desire wasn't for meat. Why? Because whatever you feed yourself with is what you will hunger for. And it's the same with your mind. If you feed yourself with the right things, if you meditate on the right things, that is eventually what you will hunger for. And my fourth and final point that I want to give you about receiving emotional healing is be patient. Give yourself time. You know, bad thoughts, bad emotions, toxic mindset hasn't been built in an hour. It hasn't been built in a day. So you're not going to get rid of it within a day. This is why it's important to give yourself time. In that time, keep on doing the first 3 steps. In that time, always ask yourself, what do I have to detox from? Always ask yourself, what new information do I have to put in? And what do I need to meditate on? What do I have to think about? What do I have to ponder on? What do I have to write down? And you know, another important thing about being patient is to forgive yourself when you fall. Because, you know, we can have this idea of like, yes, I'm going to change my mindset. Yes, I'm going to detox from some things. And sometimes you're going to fall. Sometimes you're going to go back to things that you should have detoxed from. Sometimes you're going to feel like, you know, I've made a commitment to put this information in my mind every day, and sometimes you fall short. If you fail in an area, just keep on doing the right thing. Just keep on detoxing again. Just keep on going back to the place where you put the right information in your mind. And I believe the more you do that, you will eventually have emotional healing. And that's the 4 points that I want to give you today to receive emotional healing. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please share it with people. And remember, we're going to do a lot more videos like this. So we see you guys soon again. Goodbye.